indictments. Does this help his new defense team prepare now? And will you be joining? We also know that you requested to be removed from the case, you and attorney Steve Greenberg.
Well, we won't be joining, but keep in mind, up until a couple weeks ago, you keep characterizing them as a new defense team, but Mr. Farinella, Ms. Becker, they've been involved for more than a year, maybe a year and a half. So they were participants in all the FaceTime calls 3 times a week with Mr. Kelly, and they had the opportunity, if they wanted to go meet with him in person in Chicago. So they're really not new to the case at all. They've been with the case, since really almost its inception. The only new person is the trial lawyer that the 2 remaining lawyers brought in a trial lawyer because, as we've talked about, they just don't have federal criminal trial experience at all. So they brought in Mr. Comdeic to essentially try the case. So we won't be joining that team. And, I think next week when the judge finishes what we talked about a couple times, this Curcio hearing, then she will allow our motion to withdraw. But as we talked about previously, it's a procedural step. She can't let us out until she vets with Mr. Kelly in court to his face whatever conflicts might exist with Ms. Becker, and also give his court-appointed counsel from New York the chance to meet with Mr. Kelly in person and explain those potential conflicts to him, which I understand that meeting is taking place today.
Now, you mentioned if a jail, was recording. Let me start over. Mr. Kelly assumed, or he felt, that someone was listening to his conversations. Now with the judge saying that they can essentially meet every single day. Do you think that will happen? And does it still run the risk of him not feeling comfortable being open and honest, and better yet, transparent with his legal team while still meeting in jail?
Well, just keep in mind, it wasn't Mr. Kelly that thought his meetings or calls were being recorded. I mean, I was on dozens of those calls, right? And I also met with him in person. I had no belief ever that they were being recorded. Okay, what happened was an investigator from suburban New York went to the jail. He had never been to the MCC Chicago in his whole life, and that was in like May, right? And he saw there was like kind of a box on the wall in the attorney meeting room, which in days of yesteryear, they used that to have cameras so that people could appear in court by video, and they don't use that anymore. There's no cameras in those boxes, right? But the investigator, who was unfamiliar with the facility, assumed that, oh wow, maybe they have the capacity to tape us, which they don't, and they would never do, because it would be incredibly stupid. It would be the quickest means to get a case dismissed in federal court that you can possibly imagine, and all the guards at the jail would get federally prosecuted. So there's no concern that he was being taped in Chicago, and obviously all 4 of the attorneys were involved in all those FaceTime calls. There was no taping going on, and it wasn't really Mr. Kelly that brought the concern forward. It was that investigator who was just unfamiliar with the workings of Chicago MCC. Likewise, now Mr. Kelly is in the MCC in New York, in Brooklyn. There's no possibility that they're going to try to tape his meetings with the lawyers. That will never happen. And again, if it did, the attorneys will probably welcome it because they get the case dismissed immediately. So there's no concern there. And the good thing is Mr. Comdeic, the new trial lawyer, will have the chance, if he wants, to meet with R. Kelly, every day of the week, including Saturday or Sunday, 8 hours a day. But, realistically, of course, he's not going to spend all his time doing that. When you're preparing for trial, you're going to be keenly focused on, developing your cross-examinations and getting ready for trial in that respect. But it is good that the judge is entering an order requiring that facility in Brooklyn to give them essentially unfettered access to Mr. Kelly. But remember, the other 2 attorneys have had that kind of access for a year, but it's important for Mr. Comdeic, who's really going to try the case, to have that access to get the relationship with Robert Kelly going, to understand Robert's insight into all these witnesses who are going to testify against him. So it's extremely important that Mr. Comdeic have that time with R. Kelly, and it'll be quite useful.
Attorney Leonard, yes or no? We know you're going to be removed from this case, but he has other cases as well. Will you be representing him in those cases?
That's something we're still talking about. So we don't have a decision on that. We're taking that under advisement, and we're not worried about that right now. The biggest thing for Robert is this case in New York, which is a winnable case. It's based upon a strange legal theory that doesn't fit R. Kelly's band, which is called the RICO statute. So this should be the focus. This case winning this case and not worrying about anything else.
Got it. Attorney Leonard, thank you for joining us on BNC. We appreciate you.
I see what you